Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40k universe. I am your host Gershwin and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue with more viewer requests about Space Marine chapters, as we get into the Space Marine chapter of the Blood Ravens. If you guys have any suggestions on chapters that you guys would like us to create videos for, please comment down below. Don't forget to put suggestion followed by the Space Marine chapter that you guys would like to hear about. So let's get into 40 facts about the Blood Ravens. The Blood Ravens are a loyalist Space Marine chapter of unknown origin or founding. The origins of the Blood Ravens are shrouded in mystery and are believed to be tied to a dark truth related to the Horus Heresy. Though the Blood Ravens have a long and glorious history of service to the Emperor, their exact origins and earliest days in service of the Imperium are obscured and uncertain. Not even their chapter master or librarians can say with any certainty when the Blood Ravens were founded, or from which of the first founding Space Marine legions the chapter is descended. The chapter's written records in its librarium only go back as far as the 37th millennium, though vague references of their service in the litanies of other chapters and Imperial adept prove that they existed and fought the enemies of the Emperor for many centuries before then. However, the records mentioned are either missing or locked away under inquisitorial seals. The fact that the Blood Ravens' own records and chapter lore are lost along with those kept by the Inquisition is a suspicious indicator that suggests a concentrated effort was made by operatives within some of the Imperial Adepta, including the Inquisition and the Blood Ravens themselves, to eliminate almost all traces of the Blood Ravens' past from Imperial records. Why this erase was carried out remains unknown, but the event is known as the Unfounding by the Blood Ravens. What is odder still is that the records on the Blood Ravens were discovered on Eldar knowledge worlds, hidden in the Eye of Terror, and guarded by the enigmatic Eldar Harlequins. Since the Blood Ravens prize the pursuit of knowledge, it is ironic that the Astartes of this chapter know so little about their own origins or the earliest centuries of their service to the Emperor of Mankind. At some point in the chapter's history, during the early campaigns in the Gothic sector, they took immense casualties in combat with the forces of chaos. The Blood Ravens chapter master and Master Sanctity fell covering the retreat of the chapter's first company. With heavy casualties and no strong replacements amongst the chapter's officers to replace their leader, the chief librarian, Azaria Vidia, stepped forth and took command of the chapter, becoming the first in the Blood Ravens to hold the dual mantle of chapter master and chief librarian, an arrangement that would soon become a tradition for the Blood Ravens. Known by the Battle Brothers as the Great Father, Azaria Vidia used his psychic powers and traditional methods of intelligence to learn his enemies' habits in minute detail and then launch devastating attacks against their greatest vulnerabilities. Azaria Vidia led the rebuilding of the chapter after its losses, and the current organization of the Blood Ravens has been influenced strongly by the teachings of the Great Father. The Blood Ravens will study their adversaries closely before launching precise attacks on key points. The chapter also has one more distinct trait. It gathers and guards knowledge with great zeal. This is a tendency of the chapter that catches the attention of some individuals in the Imperium, and it is a cultural quirk that is not necessarily considered a good thing amongst the higher levels of the Imperial Adepta and Inquisition. There is little information available, even among the chapter's legends, concerning its leadership prior to the Great Father assuming the mantle of the chapter master. Many scholars among the Adeptus Administratum believe that it was his legendary role as both chief librarian and chapter master that has led the Blood Ravens to value librarians so highly amongst their battle brothers. Some Imperial savants even go so far as to suggest that the Blood Ravens aspirants with these traits are deliberately sought out, as one might represent a true heir to the Vidia legend. Others argue that he may have simply set certain traditions in motion so that the chapter will always be able to rely upon a stalwart contingent of psychically gifted members. A tome allegedly penned by Azaria Vidia himself, called the Apocrypha of the Unfounding, postulated that the Blood Ravens are a chapter dear to the soul of the Emperor himself, and that their history was hidden by agents close to the throne, to keep them secret from the Emperor's other sons, but not from the Bloodravens themselves. The book argues that searching for these lost answers is not heretical as long as the knowledge is kept within the chapter itself. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Bloodravens is the unusually high concentration of powerful librarians within the chapter. The Bloodravens chapter possesses far more psychers than is common amongst the Astartes, and most of them develop their abilities after they have been implanted with the Bloodravens' gene seed organs. It is unknown if this is due to the nature of the chapter's gene seed, but it is not an uncommon thought amongst the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus that there may be some chaotic taint within the Bloodravens' gene seed. It is said in hushed tones amongst the Bloodravens that there is a special squad made up of only librarians that work secretly within the chapter. The librarians of the Bloodravens are exceptionally powerful, but whether this is due to the actions of the Great Father or is simply a result of the reverence the Bloodravens hold in him is unknown. The Bloodravens have consistently exhibited a clear willingness to study their foes prior to eliminating them. However, such knowledge can lead to a tragic corruption, as in some cases, mere knowledge can be irreversibly damaging. Such has proven to be the case in the story of the recent defeat of Azaria Kyras. Before the traitor rose to the position of Bloodraven's chapter master, he fought a valiant battle against the greater demon of Nurgle, named Olcair, on the world of Aurelia. While the hideous warp storm was overcome, then epistolary Kyras was thought lost to the warp. His death was entered into the chapter's records, along with commendation for bravery. Until 500 years later, when he inexplicably returned and seized command of the Fifth Company. His experiences within the warp tragically corrupted the Space Marine, such that upon his return he became intensely focused on spreading the chaotic corruption to his battle brothers. Over the centuries that followed, Azaria Kyras hid his corruption while spreading his taint through the chapter. Those who fell under his sway became hosts for demons allied with the supposedly dead greater demon, Olcair. In surprisingly short order, Kyras assumed the title of Chapter Master, taking command of the Bloodravens and corrupting many of other Space Marines. At some time, he forged allegiances with other demons and foul servants of chaos. Gabriel Angelos, captain of the Third Company, was the only member of the chapter's command elements to view Kyras' return with mistrust. Gabriel quietly and suspiciously investigated the chapter master at every opportunity, ultimately exposing the chapter master as a heretic and traitor when he confirmed links between the fallen battle brothers and traitor legions. The truth was discovered too late. By the time Captain Angelos was prepared to reveal his findings to the chapter, a large number of its Space Marines were already corrupted. Instead, Kyras declared Gabriel a traitor and initiated a vicious hunt for the valiant officer and his loyal forces. A bloody chapter civil war was ensued, one that engulfed the entire Aurelia subsector at its peak in the last year of the 41st millennium. Kyras eventually openly declared his loyalty to Chaos and ascended to demon princedom. The demon was slain, but at a great cost to Gabriel's forces. Gabriel ascended to chapter master after a bloody purge, and many of the chapter's unusual practices continued to be re-examined. The chapter now must exhibit great care as it recruits new members to replace those who betray the Imperium, lest other factions push for their dissolution at this time of great weakness. The Bloodravens primarily wear dark red color power armor, with weathered cream colored shoulder plates trimmed in black. The Aquila or Imperialis on the chest is black in color. A white colored Roman numeral centered on the squad specialty symbol indicates squad number. The color of the right knee guard indicates company number in accordance with the Codex Astartes. The Bloodravens chapter badge is a silhouette of a raven in flight, incorporated with a stylized drop of blood within. Because of their name and badge, it was once theorized that the Bloodravens were a successor chapter of either the Blood Angels or the Raven Guard, but both of these suspicions have been denied. The Bloodraven's dark secret may be that they have descended not from one of the Loyalists' first founding chapters, but from the Thousand Sun Space Marine Traitor Legion, as before their homeworld of Prospero was destroyed by the Space Wolves during the Horus Heresy. The Thousand Suns sent a portion of their legion far from their homeworld in their legion fleet. These Astartes were not transported to the Eye of Terror under the deal that the Primarch Magnus the Red made with the Chaos God Tzeentch to save the Legion's lives in return for their service to the Changer of Ways. This would mean that the Bloodraven's chapter is not actually a successor chapter, but is technically a remnant of one of the first founding legions, though with a dark and tainted past. The ancestors of the Bloodravens built a recruiting world on top of an ancient Necron outpost during the Horus Heresy. With the help of the Eldar, the two races worked in unison, using Eldar sorcery and psychic wards to lock the Necron forces lying beneath the sand in a psychic stasis. The Horus Heresy era Space Marines were then tasked with protecting their outpost by the Eldar to seal in the Necron threat, but they mysteriously abandoned it. It was left unrecorded in Imperial log until the Bloodravens rediscovered it. The Eldar mistook the Bloodravens for being one in the same as the Heresy-era Space Marines, as they too wore similar red power armor, which was also the color of the pre-Heresy Thousand Suns Astarte power armor. The psychic lock the Space Marines placed on the Necrons shows that the Astartes of that time could not have been Blood Angels, and that the Thousand Suns share a bond with the Bloodravens because both groups of Space Marines are defined by the development of unusually strong psychic powers among their battle brothers after their gene seed implant. Another piece of evidence of this connection is when a Thousand Suns Legion Psyker, while fighting the demon Swarrick aboard the starship Wrathful, responded to the demon's question of what did the entities of the warp have to fear from the Emperor with the response of "knowledge is power," suggesting a connection to the Bloodravens. Yet another piece of evidence is seen when a vision by Callista Eris, a Thousand Suns remembrancer, has a vision of the Ravens. I see them too, the lost sons, the Raven of Blood. They cry out for salvation and knowledge, but it is denied. This may imply that the Bloodravens are descended from the Thousand Suns gene seed. At the same time, one of the four arcane cults of librarians that comprised the pre-Heresy Thousand Suns Legion was called Corvidae, the Latin name for ravens and crows, and whose symbol was a black raven's head, thus making it possible that the Bloodravens were a Thousand Suns Astarte, who largely belonged to the Corvidae cult. During her final psychic episode, Callista also screamed out in anguish about the Ravens of Blood, and that they were lost, crying out for their unknown father. In her death throes, she declared that they would be defined by their need to seek knowledge and artifacts of old, which is an important activity often pursued by the Bloodravens, particularly in their search to learn more about their own origins. Since the Bloodravens are a fleet-based chapter, it is possible that they descended from those Astartes aboard the Thousand Suns' own armada before they were forced to flee Prospero, which Magnus the Red had ordered to the far ends of the galaxy, so that the Space Wolves could purge Prospero without having to face the Thousand Suns fleet. The Thousand Suns Space Marines aboard the Armada were never transported by the will of Tzeentch through the warp with Magnus and the planet-side Astartes to the planet of the Sorcerers within the Eye of Terror, as they were far beyond the edge of the Thousand Suns space and were not affected by the fighting. And those were 40 facts about the Bloodravens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're not done. We're going to talk more about the Bloodravens, what their organization is like, notable campaigns, and a bunch of other stuff. So please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment down below and let me know what type of legion or what chapter you guys want to hear about. What kind of chaos traitor legions do you guys want to hear about? Comment down below, because you have the original traitor legions, but any other legions that you guys would like to know about, please comment down below. Put suggestion followed by the traitor legion that you want to hear about. And thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing. Again, guys, by you guys liking the video, it helps out the channel a lot, and it really promotes 40k on YouTube. So don't forget to like this video, share it, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.